All right. Hey everybody, it's Mrs. Groover and I'm going to do a lesson on rounding. Okay? You've been rounding numbers for many years now. It's just now that you're in the 4th grade, you're rounding bigger numbers. In your math pack that you received, on page 6, you are rounding whole numbers. And the first 4 ask you to round to the nearest 10, then the next 6 ask to the nearest 100, then the next 4 ask you to round to the nearest 1,000, next 4 ask you to round to the nearest 10,000, and then the last one, number 19, asks you to round this specific number to the nearest 1,000, 100, and 10. Okay? So we're just going to play around with some numbers and practice some rounding. First things first, we have to know our places. And here's our place value chart. Maddox is going to have to zoom in for this. We've already learned our places up to the millions. Okay, we really only had to learn these places right here. From here over. We had to learn the ones, tens, hundreds, the thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, and the millions. And shortly, we're going to have to learn the tenths and the hundredths. That's coming soon. Those are decimals. That's unit 5 and 6. Those are places that come after the ones place, so they are less than 1. They are a fraction of a whole. But we need to know our places, because if the directions to tell us round to the nearest 10 and we don't know where the tens place is in a number, or if it asks us to round to the nearest hundreds and we don't know where the hundreds place is, then we're not going to be able to round that number correctly. So we have to know that. And for those of you that I've been teaching, then you know one trick that I've taught is to label numbers with the pattern OTH. And you also need to know your periods. So let's say we had the number 8,354,784. One thing that I taught was to start with the ones place and label it with an O. That stands for ones. And following that pattern, we're going to do T and H. That's our pattern, O, T, H. And we're going to repeat that pattern over every digit that we have. So O, T, H, and we're going to start over. O, and if we had anything here, it would have a T, and anything else, an H, and we'd start over, O, T, H. O, T, H. But we're always going to start with the ones. Most of us should know where the ones place is. It's the one furthest to the right. You would have 4 ones here. That's 4 ones, okay? So if you don't know how to find things, then try this trick and label your places. You also need to know the names of your periods. A period is a set of 3 digits separated by a comma. So this first set of 3 digits is called the ones period. This next set of 3 digits is called the thousands period. And the next set of 3 digits, and if there's only 1 digit in there, that's okay, it's still called the millions. Okay? Now the ones period is the only one we don't say out loud. It's called the silent period, but we say thousands and we say millions. For example, when I say the number 8 million, I say the word million. 354,000, I say the word thousand. 784, I don't say ones. So we read the number 8,354,784. See, we don't say that one, so that's why we call it the silent period. But we need to know that this first set of 3 digits in a number is called the ones period. The next set is called thousands. The next set is called millions. So when I have this O, I know this is the ones, T, tens, H, hundreds. This is not just the ones, it's the 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. This is not just the 1, it's the 1,000,000. Okay, so these help me know what place these digits are in. So if I said, what place is the 5 in this number? Okay, well first we'd find the 5. Here's the 5. And we'd say, okay, it has a T above it, so I know it's 10 something. And it's in the thousands period. So it's in the 10,000s place. The 5 is in the 10,000s place. If I said, what is the value of the 5? You would need to know its place, and you would multiply that by the digit. So 5 times 10,000 is 50,000. It's worth 50,000. That's its value because it's in the 10,000s place. So you have to know the places in order to be able to round. Okay? So I'm going to erase that. We're going to start with some rounding. Remember, if you're not sure what's what, label your digits with OTH, starting with the ones. All right, let's start with a small number. Okay? We'll start with 671. And let's do this real quick. We're going to trace Miss Groover's hand. This is an awful tracing job, but this is going to be even worse. I'll explain why we're doing this in just a minute. And this is called teaching on the fly, people, teaching on the fly. All right, so these are Mrs. Groover's hands. And I believe you have 10 fingers too. So we're going to say that this hand is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. See, we counted 0. It goes on this hand. And this is 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Okay? Those are the digits that we use. We use digits 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when we round, we need to remember that these are on this hand and these are on this hand. The 0 is a digit that must be counted. Okay? So, let's say we have the number 671 and it asks us to round this number to the nearest tens place. Well, first we have to know what digit is in the tens place. And remember, if we forget, we could go to the ones place, which we should know, it's the first one, and we'll do our OTH pattern, OTH. Okay, so if this is ones, then this is T, this is tens. So we have found the digit in the tens place. So we're supposed to round to the nearest tens place, okay? Well, there's a couple of things that we have to know when we round. We know that this digit is either going to stay the same or we're going to add 1 to it. We know that everything before it will stay the same and that everything after it turns into a 0. So let me say that again. We know that this digit that we underline is either going to stay a 7 or he's going to turn into an 8. And we know that everything before the 7 will stay the same and that everything after the 7 is going to turn to a 0. Now what happens to him is determined by a bossy digit. And the bossy digit is the digit that comes after. So this guy is who decides what goes on. So the little poem that we use is 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less just means, is this number on this hand? Is it on the 4 or less? Or is it 5 or more? Is it on this hand? Well, the number 1 is over here, so it's on the 4 or less. So it's telling me to let it rest. That means we're gonna leave the 7 just like he is. He's gonna stay a 7. So there's nothing to do to him. And remember, I told you, everything before him stays the same. Okay, so we're gonna leave him a 7. Everything before him will just drop down, and everything after turns to a 0. So that means this 1 becomes a 0. So 671, when rounded to the nearest 10, rounds to 670. So first we had to find the 10, and we had to decide if the bossy digit told us to let it rest or add 1 more. So let's try another one. Okay, we're gonna go with a bigger number this time. We'll do, all right, this time we're gonna round to the thousands place. The thousands place. So we gotta find the thousands place. So let's label our digits. So O-T-H-O-T. Okay, so we know this is the ones period and this is the thousands period. So I know this is ones, tens, hundreds, 1,000, 10,000s. So it's asking me for the thousands. So that would be the 1,000s. So that would be this right here, okay? So I already know that this is either gonna stay a 3 or turn into a 4 based on the bossy digit. And I know that everything before it will stay the same and everything after it will turn to a 0, okay? So let me find the bossy digit. Remember, the bossy digit is the one that comes after. So that's this guy right here. Here's the bossy digit. It's a 9. 9. Does 9 say 4 or less, let it rest? Do you see a 9 over here? Or 5 or more, raise the score? Do you see a 9 over there? Yeah, there's the 9. So it's a raise the score, which means we're gonna add 1 to 3. So 3 plus 1 is, yes, 4. So we're gonna write the 4 right under that. Remember, everything before stays the same. So that 1 is just gonna drop down. And everything after turns to a 0. So this 9 turns to a 0, this 8 turns to a 0, this 5 turns to a 0. So 13,985, when rounded to the nearest 1,000, rounds to 14,000. Okay, we'll try another one. That's a weird 3. All right, this time we're gonna round to the nearest 10,000 place. So what do we do first? It tells me to round to the nearest 10,000s place. Well, we're gonna label our number. We're gonna start with the ones. O-T-H, O-T-H-O. This is the what period? Ones. This is the what period? Thousands. And this is the millions. These are the only 3 we had to learn this year. So it's telling us to round to the 10,000s place. I have to find the digit in the 10,000s place. So this is ones, 10, hundreds, 1,000, 10,000. So there's the 10,000s. That's the guy right there. And I already know that he's either going to stay an 8 or turn to a 9. He's never going to go down. And I also already know that everything before him will stay the same and everything after him will turn to a 0. So let's decide what the bossy digit's going to have us do to him. So who's the bossy digit? Which one is the bossy digit? The bossy digit comes after. So here's the bossy digit. The 2. The 2. So does the 2 tell us to let it rest or add the score? So 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise the score. So what does the 2 tell us to do? The 2 tells us to let it rest. Let it rest means that's just going to stay an 8. So we're going to drop the 8 down right below. Everything before stays the same. And everything after turns to a 0. So 1,382,356, when rounded to the nearest 10,000th place, rounds to 1,380,000. So remember, boys and girls, the key to rounding is to know your places. And if you don't, you should label with your OTH. Label your periods. The first 3 are the ones, the next 3 are the thousands, and the next 3 are the millions. Find what place it's telling you to round to and underline it. Remember that it's either going to stay the same or you'll add one more to it. And it's that bossy digit, that digit that comes after it, that tells you what to do to it. If the bossy digit is 4 or less, you're going to let it rest. It's just going to stay the same. But if that bossy digit is 5 or more, you're going to raise the score, which means you would add 1. So this would have been a 9. And then everything before stays the same. And everything after just turns into zeros. There's one exception that I'll show you. And that's the tricky 9. I don't know if you have any like that on here, but I'll show you just in case. Let's say that we have this number here. And the directions tell us to round this to the nearest hundreds place. So first we have to find the hundreds, okay? You might have already spotted the hundreds, but just in case, we'll label O-T-H, O-T, and we know this is what period? This is the ones period. And this is what period? Yes, this is the thousands period. So these are the ones. This is the ones place, the tens place, the hundreds place, because I don't say that. This is the 1,000s and the 10,000s. So if I'm looking for the hundreds, that's this guy right here. Here's the hundreds, okay? I can erase those. All right, I found the hundreds. That's a 9. And the bossy digit comes after, so the 7. So I look at my hands and I say, does the 7, is it 4 or less, where I'm gonna let it rest? Or is it 5 or more, and I'm gonna raise the score? Well, which hand is the 7 on? It's on the raise the score. So that means I'm going to add 1 to 9. Well, boys and girls, you can't put 10 down here. It doesn't work that way. So this is the tricky 9. And when you have a 9 that you're going to raise the score on, what you have to do is you have to actually add 1 to it and the digit that comes before it. So I'm going to add 1 to 39. So 39 plus 1 would be 40. 39 plus 1. And then everything is the same as it was before. Everything before, see, stays the same. And everything after turns to a 0. So 73,976, when rounded to the nearest hundreds place, rounds to 74,000. That's the tricky 9. So know your places, Remember, 4 or less, let it rest. 5 or more, raise the score. Remember that everything before stays the same, and everything after turns to a 0. Remember that your bossy digit is the one that comes after the place that you're rounding to. All right, good luck rounding.